Greetings all and welcome back to another edition of Make Sports Easy, where we're here to make sports more easy for you to understand, a little more palatable, and make it fun at the same time. So we went through our first rendition of this for college football, and now we're going to move on to our preview. So every week we're going to do kind of a review of what came in the week prior and preview for what's to come. So welcome, this is week 2. The preview for college football season 2024, and we're just gonna get right into it and talk about the games for this weekend and what we expect to see. So, and if you like this, go ahead, hit that like, follow, subscribe, and check us out and let us know how we're doing. And if there's any other sports that you may like, just let us know. So we have an interesting slate of football this weekend. Last week it was all kind of spread out. Like, you had hitters every time slot. Remember, you had like the noon or the first time slot, the second, and then the nightcap, and then the after dark stuff. This week in that middle time slot is not real heavy on games that are going to have ramifications for the playoffs later on, or that look to be that a strong level of interest. So we're going to start off with the game day game. So the game day is going to Ann Arbor, Michigan. Huge top 10 matchup. Going to be a preview of what's to come and what we can expect from the playoffs. We have Texas and Michigan going head to head. This is going to be a very interesting game because Michigan, being the reigning national champions, they're really kind of being underplayed. So we're going to see if they're underrated, overrated, properly rated. We're going to see that because of what Texas showed us a week prior. And even though they didn't have, a great competitor as far as matching up evenly against them, Texas still showed themselves to be explosive. And even their backups, Archie Manning got in, so Quinn Ewers really showed himself as a leader. And we're going to see what Texas has to offer Michigan in the big house. What to expect? I expect Texas to take that game. Now, I'm underestimating Michigan as well. I'll be the first to admit it because they lost a lot of players. I mean, they lost their signal caller. They lost their head coach. Granted, they have some consistency because their coach now did a little interim last year. So there's some, consistency throughout that. But really curious. They have some strong players on offense, defense, but they're just not well known. They're not household names yet. So we'll see if they make a name for themselves this Saturday, as well as with Texas. Hey, let's see. I'm excited. That first slot's going to be nice. Let's see what else we got coming up. Arkansas and Oklahoma State. It's going to be a huge game. Arkansas put up some crazy points. Arkansas got an offense, y'all. They was out like an explosive offense. Now, once again, we'll see how they do against Oklahoma State. Kind of a dark horse, Big 12 contender. So that'll be another interesting game for us to watch. Georgia Tech, Syracuse. Georgia Tech, are they the real deal or not? Let's just see what it is. They're going to Syracuse. Syracuse has a solid program. So if Georgia Tech shows well in that game, that's just going to skyrocket. That's going to continue to build upon what they did against Florida State. Just continue to build. That'll be another ACC win. Let's see if Georgia Tech can pull it out. And if they look good while doing it too. I mean, a win is a win is a win. You don't really care about style points. However, you want to see if what you've done in the past will translate for future success. That's all you're trying to check out there. In that middle slot, there's a rivalry game with the new changing landscape of college football. Some rivalry games have gone to the side, and some teams that played for 40, 50 years and even more are not going to play each other anymore. And it's really kind of sad because a lot of those are regional matchups, and the athletic directors, they can make that happen. People make a big deal about it, like, oh, they changed conferences so they can't play each other. This is a travesty. It's like, no, a lot of teams who don't play in the same conference, but yet our rivals have kept those games intact. They was like, this is a deal breaker. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a recruiting. It's for the culture of the game. And is that a spider? Oh, snap. Whew. Almost got me there. So Oklahoma with Iowa State, they normally play early in the season. That'd be a good matchup. Iowa might have an offense, they might not. That's always kind of been their hiccup. They've always played solid, sound football, but offensively they just can't really score a point. So if their offense is on attack, they normally have a tough defense to match up with. Look out for Iowa to make some noise in the Big Ten. Iowa State, solid program. Let's see if they can get over that hump and just be consistent throughout the entire season, stay healthy, and that'll really be what we're looking for. Okay, now what we all been waiting for, that nighttime slot. That nighttime slot is loaded. Loaded with games that have playoff implications for their individual conferences and beyond. So let's go ahead and kick it off. Let's start with, what are we going to start off with? Because there's a lot of good ones. I want to see what type of order we're going to put it in. Let's start off with Boise State. Boise State, Oregon. That's going to be the night game. That's that, like 10 o'clock later on the East Coast. Even though Oregon's a top 10 team, Boise State unranked. Boise State running back dropped 6 touchdowns last week. I think Oregon might be on upset alert, like low key, like for real. So I look forward to seeing how they match up against a strong Oregon team, a team that is led by a head coach that I believe has them focused and ready to go. Whatever conference Oregon would have ended up in with the shift, they were going to be all right. They was going to be all right because they have a solid program. So look forward to seeing that game. That's probably the dark horse game of the night. Everybody's not going to be up watching that late game. And I believe it's also only streaming on Peacock. So we'll see what comes from that. A popular game for everybody to watch, even though it's unranked versus unranked, Colorado versus Nebraska. Let's just see if Coach Prime can keep that momentum going. Because, they're really trying to make the playoffs, even though nobody has them in the playoffs. You can look at any ranking. If they got them in the playoffs, they're placating to a certain fan base or whatever the case. They haven't proven themselves to have the D line necessary, the offensive line necessary to protect their skilled players and to get after the other teams. So as they continue to build upon this season, can Colorado stand up against a team that's really going to bring some heavy hitters at them? Not saying that Nebraska is that, but Nebraska is a solid program. Those black shirts are going to come out and really try to play upset because Colorado has a lot of flash. Not saying they don't have substance, but flash in the sense of, man, they got playmakers everywhere on offense. So they got that speed that no one can really say they match up with head for head. Like they have probably what's going to be some of the best playmakers on the field on one team, on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, Shador's going to be a top 10 pick. Travis is. Jimmy got speed. Omarion, I say less. Another top 25 game that we got coming up is Tennessee versus North Carolina State. A bit of a border bash there. Really interested to see if Tennessee is going to be a contender in the SEC. That's what this game is going to tell us more than anything else. NC State, they're always a solid competitor in the ACC. They're always going to play upset to somebody because they're a solid team, especially when you're playing at NC State. So I really look forward to that. I'm not going to try to pronounce Tennessee's quarterback name right now, but he showed himself to be very solid in their opening game. And let's just close it out with Clemson because the ACC is under a lot of pressure right now because, the winner of the ACC is going to be in the playoffs. They're going to have a bye. And as of right now, nobody knows who that's going to be. It's going to be Boston College. It's going to be Georgia Tech. It's going to be NC State. let's see if Clemson can pull themselves back together and win against a quality opponent. Much like, don't want to compare the two, but since they're both in that nighttime slot, you had Colorado playing against FCS perennial powerhouse North Dakota State last week. A very solid team, easily to be overlooked. Colorado pulled the game out. App State is competing in their conference to be that group of 5 team that gets the automatic bid into the playoffs. App State coming with it. And it's a night game in Death Valley. The fans are going to be all in. Let's see if Clemson can rebound. I feel like this team is more confident coming out of that Georgia game than they went into that Georgia game. So we'll see how Coach Swinney gets them ready. And the defense is going to be right. The offense is really the question. How the offense executes is the important thing here. So with that being that, that's going to wrap up what we got there. I didn't say who I thought would win these games. I'm not really big into predictions, but let's just say Arkansas go over Oklahoma State. I haven't seen Syracuse really play. Let's just say Georgia Tech takes that one. Tennessee over North Carolina State. I really love Tennessee's offense. Going to go Colorado over Nebraska. That's going to be an interesting game. It's at Nebraska too. That's going to be a tough one for them, but I think Colorado will pull that one out. Oregon defeats Boise State closer than the experts think. They got them almost like a 20-point favorite. I don't know about that. After what Ashton Genty did, Genty, excuse me. And then Clemson over App State. Clemson pulls it together. They go on a little bit of a run before they run into Florida State. In rivalry games, anything can happen. So be interested in them to get back on their feet and get settled before a big game against a competent opponent that is in conference. Clemson hasn't played a conference game yet, so they could theoretically drop these couple of games at the beginning of the season and still be quote-unquote in driver position as long as they win out and do their thing in the ACC play. So that'll be our Week 2 preview. I hope you all enjoy the games. Once again, this is Make Sports Easy. Check us out. Like, follow, subscribe. We're on Facebook, Instagram, right now a little bit on TikTok. And we hope that you enjoy this. And we'll catch you on the NFL preview and also on the wrap-up from these week's games in college football. Okay? Peace.